are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I've got some bad news for the fucking Degennies out there. This week's Degenny Diaries has come out completely fucked. My microphone has started crackling about 10 minutes in, and the audio is just unusable. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this microphone. It's too good to be doing the shit it's doing. I may have to get a different microphone just to do the fucking podcast with, because this is $1,000 fucking microphone. It needs phantom power and a cloud booster just to work. So it's running through like 4 different things, and somewhere along the way it keeps getting fucked up. It's all right when I use it just for podcasting, but once I plug it into the computer and shit, something's going on with it. So bad news is that episode's not coming out. I'm going to do a redo with the Law Dog next week, but I have to give you something. So the Andrew Roberts episode post the gig last week is the only thing I have. So that's coming out tonight. For some, that's a little too much Andrew Roberts. For others, it's not enough. But you can't make all the people happy all of the time, can you? And that's the only thing I've got to release. So that's what you're getting. And I'll sort out the episode with the Law Dog next week, plus an extra Degenny Diaries. Anyway, it's Boyle Breaks History time. And I haven't got to the bottom of World War I, but I've found an event that I'd never heard of before that adds a little bit of fucking context to world history. Context is very important. You get taught shit at school, and it's just events, dates, and who's good and who's bad. There's very little why this happened. Why would people do this? So to me, this little fucking event that happened that I'd never heard of adds a little bit of fucking context to post World War I Germany and probably the rise of Hitler. So it's the French occupation of the Ruhr. I don't even know if I'm fucking pronouncing that right, but it's R-U-H-R. So after World War I, Germany was completely fucked. Decimated, demoralized, their fucking economy was in the tank. They were fucked. They were completely fucked. They had signed the Treaty of Versailles to end World War I, and that helped fuck them. They lost a bunch of territory, and they had to pay war reparations. And then they had like a civil war because there was no Kaiser anymore. And they chose democracy, and the politicians were absolutely fucking useless. So they were just printing money. Inflation was out of control. They were just completely fucked with absolutely no sign of fucking hope anywhere. They were so fucked that even the English and the US were like, all right, maybe we should ease up. They don't have to pay the war reparations. Like, they've got no fucking money. They've got nothing. Cunts are stabbing each other in the face over fucking bread. How are we going to take money off them? And the French, along with Belgium, were like, no, we demand they pay the war reparations. So the French had their foot on the Germans' throat and were unwilling to even let off pressure just a little bit. So eventually the Germans, who were just printing money to buy foreign currencies and gold to pay the war reparations, eventually they defaulted on the reparations. And the French were like, thank you very much for defaulting. We're coming in and we're going to take over the Ruhr. And the Ruhr was the industrial heartland. That's where all the coal, that's where all the resources, that's where all industry was. And the French are like, we're going to take our reparations from you, whether you like it or not. So the French went into the Ruhr and took it over. And by this stage, Germany didn't have a fucking army. that was part of the Treaty of Versailles, was the Germans were only limited to 100,000 soldiers and no conscription. So they really couldn't even fucking fight back. And so the French just went in, and the timing of it couldn't have been fucking worse for the Germans. So they've got no money. Everything's hyperinflating. Their economy's fucked. They're completely in the fucking tank. And now the French and Belgium have come in and taken over their most productive area. And so the Germans of the Ruhr, they just went on strike. The only thing they could do was passively resist. So none of them went to work. None of them did shit. There were protests. There was a little bit of violence. The fucking French shot a bunch of fucking protesters and shit. The French went in there in 1923 and left like a few years later, having achieved nothing because no one was working there. But what it did do was galvanize the fucking German people around a common enemy. And this lay some fertile fucking ground for the extreme left and the extreme right in Germany to gain momentum, eventually leading to the rise of Hitler. I mean, before the occupation of the Ruhr, Germany were fucked. They were turning on each other. They were turning on government. It was about to fucking erupt. And the French, who thought they were putting the final nail in the coffin of Germany, gave them the common enemy they could fucking galvanize around, which led to like nationalism. It was just a humiliation the German people were unwilling to accept. And then 17 years later or 15 years later, the Germans just waltzed into France and took it over without even a fucking whimper. A common enemy can do wonders for a nation or a people. I mean, like, the fucking Muslims were fighting each other for millennia. They were at each other. They were just annihilating each other. They hated each other. And then the West comes in and they're like, hey, we may hate each other, but we hate you more. Fuck off. It would be like in the US now. It's like fucking teetering on the brink of civil war. But let's say fucking China landed some troops somewhere. They'd be like, hey, oi, 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 oi. And the nation would come together immediately. That's why I think like aliens probably do need to come. Or maybe we'll all galvanize against the AI robots or something. Who knows? But there's a little lesson in history. And remember, history doesn't repeat, but it fucking rhymes. And that is today's episode of Boyle Breaks History. I hope you enjoyed it. That'll do, and I'll see ya the fuck later.